What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Off the Mic Sports Network and some college football coverage here. A result that I did not think was going to happen. Florida State, unranked Florida State at home against number 8 Alabama. Alabama, fresh off missing the playoff last year, the first ever 12-team playoff. And I like Kalen DeBoer a lot, and we need to have a conversation about that at another point. Florida State throttles Alabama. Like, this was not close. 31-17 at Doak Campbell in Tallahassee. Shout out to my guy Danny Udoff, who was ready to give up college football in his Seminoles. Like I said, this was a butt kicking. Offensively and defensively. The Seminoles run for 230 yards on the ground. And Tommy Castellanos, the transfer quarterback from Boston College, who talked so much shit over the summer about how they were that Nick Saban couldn't save them and all this other stuff. He backs it up. I mean, he doesn't play the greatest game of all time, but he manages the game well, doesn't turn it over, only throws 14 passes, but 152 yards, manages this offense. You know, he had 78 yards and a touchdown run in this game. This was a butt kicking of the highest order. And if you think about now, here we are into the second year of Kalen DeBoer, and we'll have a big picture discussion about is he on the hot seat or not in a separate video here on the channel. But the Alabama dynasty and the Alabama run of dominance, we kind of knew that it was probably not going to be there because of the portal and the way things are. And with Kalen DeBoer, who I like and has been good at this, but Nick Saban was just a different breed. And what I have seen from this program in the last 2 years, listen, this was on my birthday, my 35th birthday last year. I remember being in a restaurant and Alabama was up 28-0 on Georgia. Georgia came back, took the lead, and then Ryan Williams had that amazing touchdown. And you think, oh, Alabama's going to be fine. Since that point, Alabama has lost the following games. They have lost to Vanderbilt, they've lost to Tennessee, and they've lost to Oklahoma last year to miss the playoff. And now they've lost to unranked Florida State, who won 2 games last year. I understand it's a different team, but everybody was scoffing at the idea that Florida State would even compete in this game. And they beat them handily by 2 touchdowns. The Bama dynasty is over. It's over. Like, the Bama dynasty is over. Like, this was the banner program of college football for the last 15 years under Nick Saban. And here we are now. And I like Kalen DeBoer a lot. I've met him personally. He's a nice guy, and he was a dominant coach at the lower levels of college football. He did a great job at Fresno State. He did a great job at Washington, getting them to a national championship. And like I said, we'll get to that portion of this thing here. But specifically talking about this Alabama team and what jumped out to me just that was so glaring in this game, Florida State manhandled them. I just read you. They ran for 230 yards. When was the last time you saw an Alabama defense give up 230 yards rushing? Like, that's insane. Like, Tommy Castellanos, like, we were making jokes about this guy. I got to hand it to this guy. This is one of the great I told you so moments, maybe in sports history. This guy was talking so much shit about the ACC, about, Florida State's going to be good. Our defense is really good. Bama, hey, they don't have Nick Saban to save them. And look at him. Yes, he was only 9 of 14 and had, 175 yards, but he also ran for like 80 yards and a touchdown. This was, dare I say, everybody's going to migrate over to that early result between Ohio State and Texas. This is the most shocking result of the weekend. I don't think it's going to be topped. Nobody in their right mind. And if you're trying to tell me that you had Florida State winning by 14 points, you could have said, hey, Florida State could have won, and maybe you would have been right. And maybe I would have said you weren't insane. But if you had Florida State winning by 2 touchdowns, before this game, you were batshit insane. Like, the narrative going into this is like, we have no idea what to expect from Florida State. Mike Norvell may be coaching for his job. After going 2-10 off of an undefeated season. You're bringing in a new quarterback. You're bringing in 2 new coordinators. And, just a whole bunch of new transfer players. Not a whole lot to expect. And this was a butt kicking. This was an ass kicking of the highest order. And to see it happen to Alabama, a top 10 team going into the season in the first game of the season, is just staggering to me. Like, I cannot believe that this happened. I really cannot believe that this happened to an Alabama team. And, you know, maybe Nick Saban was on to something when he left the game a couple of years ago, because clearly, you know, the transfer portal and everything has changed things. But I thought of Kalen DeBoer as a much better coach than this. And to see him lose the 4 games in his now basically effectively 2 years on the job in Tuscaloosa, it's just, you know, it's staggering. And like I said, it's not even just the fact that they've lost. These games that they've lost, Vanderbilt pushed them around. Tennessee kind of pushed them around. Oklahoma manhandled them. And now Florida State, to start the season here with all the preseason hype around you, to get destroyed like this, it's just, again, I will have another video coming up shortly here after this one separately to talk about, is Kalen DeBoer on the hot seat? Like, this is a very concerning thing to start. And, you know, debating about where this whole thing is going to go moving forward, because, like I said, I could have totally seen Florida State competing in this game. Maybe I could have seen them winning, but not like this. This is a bad look in a lot of ways for Alabama. And, you know, I don't know what the future holds for this program. It's just, you know, separate from that, man, your 2 banner programs. I mean, Georgia didn't play anybody today. But Alabama loses to Florida State. You've got, we'll see what happens with Clemson and LSU. This video will probably be up while that game's airing. But you know, Texas loses to Ohio State in a non-conference, so now you have an unranked Florida State team manhandling it. Like, this is the SEC good? We'll see how the result later tonight goes with LSU. LSU hasn't won a opening night game or an opening day game or opening week game since Brian Kelly took over as head coach. So, they haven't won an opening week game since COVID, since Joe Burrow was there. That's how bad this thing has gotten. So, but with Alabama, man, like, it's just, this has been the standard program for the last 15 years in this sport. And to see the way that they played and to see the way that they got manhandled, Ty Simpson just looked lost. But yes, first-time starter. But you expect with an offensive coach and Ryan Grubb coming back, you know, being the former Washington offensive coordinator, it's just a lot of things just didn't mesh up. And then, like I said, the most staggering thing for me is they got killed in the trenches, man. Got killed on the offensive line, got pushed around by Florida State's defense. Great job by Tony White. And then Gus Malzahn, who obviously from his Auburn days, misdirections and, you know, all these jet sweeps in reverse and these motions, had Alabama's defense in fucking hell. 230 yards rushing, like I said. So, you know, credit to Florida State. Congratulations to Tommy Castellanos. You can pat yourself on the back, man. Biggest shit talk I've ever seen, and it actually was validated. Normally that doesn't go that way. So credit to Florida State. I'm very happy for that program after what they've had to endure for basically since being left out of the playoff, the last 4-team playoff. So this felt validating because it was Alabama who bumped them out, very infamously a couple years ago. So anyway, we'll have something on Kalen DeBoer coming up here shortly. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.